Is it worth it this season to use the Pestilence with the biomass? Let me know what you think. Got his back though. Or belt, I should say. He has a belt. Hey, I just got an exotic and he didn't die. Y'all saw that, right? What did the Eclipse Protocol say to the Pestilence? You're the reason we had to add a biological hazard clause. Haha, d.a.g joke of the day. What is going on, d.a.g? Today I have a Vial Plague build, where I'm going to be utilizing the exotic Mask Vial alongside the exotic LMG the Pestilence. This build doesn't need skill, just a pulse and a complete lack of morals, especially when running my favorite combo, the Technician Drone with Microwave Coils, which is going to pump out endless crowd control with the burns that you apply for Microwave Coils, while also giving us a little bit of amplified damage. This build is a whole lot of fun and makes clearing content super easy. You are going to be running through heroic content like you're playing on hard. The playstyle is just going to be you holding down fire and hoping that dot does the work. But don't worry, you could also play this in groups and do missions because you're going to supply a steady stream of crowd control with the constant burns and constant bleeds, while the Pestilence is going to clean up those pesky ads hiding behind cover. While looking at the loadout at first, you're going to think this thing does no damage, but I assure you that 75% amplified damage that you're going to be dishing out is going to be insane. This build isn't about bursting down single targets, but it is all about providing constant crowd control and spreading out your DPS throughout the whole map. While all the individual damage numbers won't look that impressive, but when you combine everything, you're going to be hitting like a truck. I call it crowd control, but the Geneva Convention calls it a violation. Another joke. Now that I got my 2 cents out of the way, let's go take a look at the build breakdown, where the Pestilence plus status effect is the only build where the CDC would quarantine your loadout. Starting off with the specialization, I'm going with Sharpshooter to give me access to the Technician Drone, plus we're going to benefit from the weapon stability, recoil reduction, and target requisitioning. And because we're going to be playing from the sidelines, all the allies that are closer than us are going to get 10% headshot damage. For the primary, we're using the exotic Pestilence. It comes with damage to target out of cover, and I have it rolled with damage to armor. It comes with the Talent Plague of the Outcast, where your hits apply a debuff dealing 100% weapon damage over 10 seconds, and this stacks up to 50 times. And the cool thing about this is that you could have multiple debuffs at the same time, so you can shoot one side of the map and build up one stack of Plague, and then aim over to the other side and start doing the same thing again. And while the enemies die, even if it's not from the actual debuff, it's going to transfer to another enemy within 25 meters. And that's why this talent is really powerful, because it's going to go ahead and mop up the whole playing field. And these are the mods that come with it that you cannot change out. For the secondary, I have the Everlasting Gaze. I have it rolled with damage to target out of cover. It comes with the talent Perfect Perpetuation, which is going to increase your status effects damage and duration by 75%. So what I like to do is I'll lead out an encounter with this, greatly increasing the damage and duration of whatever status effect it applies to. And once it procs, I'll swap over to the Pestilence, and I'll take it out every so often to proc Perfect Perpetuation again. And these are the mods that I have for it, but feel free to change them out how you would like. And for the sidearm, you can use whatever you like. For the first armor piece, I have the exotic Vial. It comes with status effects, hazard protection, and I have a armor on kill armor mod. It comes with the talent Toxic Delivery, which is a debuff that lasts 10 seconds that procs every time you apply a status effect, and the damage that it does is equal to 50% of your concussion grenade. And unlike other debuffs, this debuff is increased by status effects. Toxic Delivery is definitely going to hit really hard thanks to all the amplified damage sources that we have on this loadout. For the chest piece, I have the Sacrifice. I have it rolled with critical hit chance, status effect, and I have a armor on kill armor mod. It comes with the Talent Perfect Glass Cannon, where it amplifies all damage sources by 30%, but you're also going to take 60% incoming damage. For the backpack, I have my first piece of Eclipse Protocol, and because I have 4 pieces, I'm going to unlock Indirect Transmission on top of the 15% status effects, 50% skill haste, and 30% hazard protection. And Indirect Transmission is going to pretty much turn our status effects into AoE, which is going to spread to enemies within 10 meters, and the refresh duration is going to be 50%. I have it rolled with status effects and a armor on kill armor mod, and because I have 4 pieces, I'm going to unlock the backpack talent system aggravator, where I'm going to amplify all damage you deal to status affected targets by 30%, which is super easy to proc with this loadout. For the gloves, I have my second piece of Eclipse Protocol, rolled with status effects as well. For the knee pads, I have my third piece of Eclipse Protocol, rolled with status effects as well. And finally, for the holster, I have my final piece of Eclipse Protocol, and of course, rolled with status effect. Before I get to the skills, let's take a look at Rogue Momentum. If you look at the 5th tier Unstoppable and read the last sentence, it says skill overcharge, meaning that it does not matter how many skill tiers you have, because once you hit Unstoppable and overcharge your skills are going to instantly benefit from the overcharge buffs, and some skills even have additional effects. And on a side note, make sure you take out blacklisted marked enemies, because when you do, you get a 15-second buff that gives you 10% weapon handling and 10% critical hit chance. For the first skill, I'm running my favorite skill this season, the Technician Drone. When it's overcharged, you're going to get those massive buffs to it. Plus, additionally, you're going to also apply Weakness to Exploit, where you and your allies' damage is amplified by 15% to pulse targets. This is massive because it's 15% to all damage sources, to even include the burns from Microwave Coils. Stating that, the Technician Drone combos very well with Microwave Coils, because the drone pulses constantly and the duration of the pulse is super short. So you're going to be constantly reapplying burns on enemies, which is a great source of crowd control, because once you do apply to the enemy, they're usually going to stop in their tracks, and the enemies sitting behind cover are just going to stand up and start flailing their arms, making it easy to shoot them. And these are the mods that I have for it. For my second skill, I have the Stinger Hive, and when it's overcharged, it's going to get these massive buffs to it, notably the 300% skill haste, meaning that we can constantly throw this thing out every time it expels all its charges, dealing some crazy massive damage from the initial explosion. Plus, it applies another source of status effects with the bleed, proccing the biomass debuff more often. And these are the mods that I have equipped for it. For the core attributes, I have 5 reds, no blues, and 1 yellow. We're going to be constantly in the Unstoppable tier and have our skills overcharged, so skill tiers are going to be useless. So that is why I went with all reds, to boost the damage of the Pestilence. But if you want to be a little bit more tanky, you could put on some blue cores, but honestly, you will not need it with this loadout. For the stats, I'm sitting at 16% critical hit chance, but that will go up to 26% with the blacklisted mark buff, which lasts 15 seconds and gives you 10% weapon handling and 10% critical hit chance. The critical hit damage is only at 45%, and I have 98% headshot damage. And on this loadout, I'm going to get 54,000 armor and kill to help me stay alive. And here's the loadout again in quick succession. So that's about it for this build breakdown, so let's head to the shooting range, because I know you all love to see those big floaty damage numbers. Alrighty, you can see that I don't have any momentum, so let's launch our Technician Drone and start applying burns and building that momentum right up. And you can see how fast it goes up every time the drone pulses and applies the Microwave Coils burn. Alright, now that we have our momentum built up, let's see how much damage we do with the Pestilence. We're hitting for almost 300,000. And our ticks are hitting for almost 1 million. Now let's pulse and see how much they do now. Now we're hitting for 1.3 million almost. And like I said before, you could set up multiple waterfall effects. So you could shoot another enemy. Right now we're hitting for 1 million with the plague. Let's pulse. And it looks like we're shooting up to almost 1.2 million. And here's the damage with the Stinger. So we're hitting for 1.7 million, 2.2 million, not too bad. Let's see the damage to pulse target. 2.2 million with the Stinger. And then we're getting the bleed plus the biomass going off at the same time. Let's add in the burn as well. So along with the Stinger bleed plus the burn from the pulse and the biomass, then having the plague going on, doing this thing. This build definitely can take out a bunch of enemies in groups really easily. Now here's with the Everlasting Gaze. We're proc perfect perpetuation, get a headshot hit, apply a burn, and you can see that the burn is hitting a lot harder now. Yeah, this build is definitely a whole lot of fun. You get so many different dots going on at the same time, it's hard to keep track. Alrighty, Dags, let me know what you guys think about my Vile Plague build. It's definitely not going to hit as hard as a single target build, but it's definitely a whole lot of fun to play. And it's always fun to see all the different dots bouncing around the map. Your screen is going to be littered with damage floating numbers all the time. You're going to have massive amount of crowd control as well, thanks to the burns and the bleeds. If you like the builds that I put together like this, let me know in the comments and I'll keep them coming out. Status effect builds are definitely really powerful this season thanks to the rogue momentum. If you got any tweaks or if you run something similar, let us know. That way we could try it out as well. And if you're subscribed to the channel, thank you for subscribing. And if you're not yet subscribed, please take a second to subscribe. That way you can stay up to date with all my upcoming videos. I want to say thank you to the community for supporting my small channel. You guys are awesome. That's all for now. I'll catch you at the next one.